I was standing at the reception desk of the most exclusive resort in Maui with my credit card still in my hand. I had just paid over $8,000 for a family weekend getaway. That is when I heard my daughter-in-law say something with a smile that made my blood run cold. "We gave your room to my mom. The grandkids prefer her." My son Robert, who is my only child, nodded without looking me in the eye. I felt the marble floor of the lobby move beneath my feet. I was 62 years old. I had built a real estate empire in Chicago from absolutely nothing. And in that moment, in front of strangers, my own family was pushing me aside as if I were a nuisance. But I smiled. I nodded in silence. I took a step back. And in that precise instant, while I watched my son's mother-in-law walk toward the elevator holding my grandkids' hands, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Something that would make them beg me, plead with me on their knees to cancel the whole damn trip. But before I tell you how I put them in their place, I need to know something. Leave me a comment and tell me from which city or country you are listening to us. I want to know if stories like this happen everywhere or if families betray you with a smile on their face only in my world. My name is Henry. I was born in Chicago 62 years ago. I grew up in a neighborhood on the south side where hot water came twice a week and opportunities never came at all. My father was a construction worker. My mother washed other people's clothes. I was the first to finish college. I studied architecture at night while working during the day as a draftsman in an office that does not even exist anymore. At 30, I had my first big project. By 40, I had 3 developments in Lincoln Park and the Gold Coast. By 50, my name appeared in business magazines. I built all this with my own hands, with sleepless nights, with sacrifices that no one else in my family ever made. I married Helen when I was 26. She was an elementary school teacher, a noble woman, from a good family with solid values. We loved each other deeply for 30 years. We had only one son, Robert, who was born when I was 28. We raised him with love, but also with discipline. We gave him the best private education trips abroad, summer camps in Europe. We wanted him to have all the opportunities we did not have. Helen died 5 years ago from pancreatic cancer. It was fast, painful, and devastating. Since then, Robert is the only thing I have left of her, my only direct family. That is why I forgave everything. That is why I close my eyes to things that any sensible father would have confronted a long time ago. Robert married Danielle 7 years ago. She is 15 years younger than him and comes from Los Angeles, from a family that pretends to have money, but actually lives on appearances. From the beginning, I noticed something about her, a way of speaking, of moving, of calculating every word. It was not affection I saw in her eyes when she looked at me. It was evaluation, as if she were measuring how much I was worth, how much time I had left, how much she could get. But I kept quiet. Robert seemed happy. They had 2 children, my grandchildren. Matthew, who is 6, and Sophia, who is 4. Those children are my light, my reason to get up every morning. For them, I endured comments, rudeness, and attitudes from Danielle that any other person would not have tolerated. During the first few years, things were more or less normal. Family dinners every 2 weeks at my house in the suburbs. I cooked because I liked to cook, and because it made me feel useful. Danielle always arrived late, always with some excuse. Robert worked in one of my companies, in a comfortable position I had created for him. He earned well, but not extraordinarily well. Not because he was my son, but because, frankly, he did not have the vision or the hunger needed to run a business. Danielle complained constantly that they did not have enough money, that her friends in LA lived better, that they deserved a bigger house, more frequent trips, a higher standard of living. 2 years ago, I started noticing subtle but disturbing changes. Danielle started asking me about my properties, my investments, my bank accounts. Questions she made seemed casual during dessert, as if she were just curious. "Hey, Henry." Is it true that the building downtown is in your name? Or does it belong to the company? Or do you have everything in order for when you know for the future Robert never participated in these conversations? He stayed quiet looking at his phone, as if nothing were happening. Then came the suggestions. Danielle told me that I should make a clear will that Robert was my only son and should have access to everything right now. She said it would be easier for future paperwork. She told me about friends of hers whose parents had terrible legal problems because they had not arranged their papers in time. I nodded and smiled, but I did not do anything. Something inside me, an instinct I had developed in 40 years of business, told me to wait to observe. A year ago, the pressure increased. Danielle convinced Robert that they should move to a bigger house, not just any house, a mansion in the North Shore that cost $2 million. They asked me to lend them the down payment. It is a family investment. Danielle said, "We can put the house in the children's names as an early inheritance." I lent them $500, $1,000. We signed a contract with minimal interest because in the end he was my son, but they never paid me a single month. When I asked them, Robert got upset. "Dad, are you seriously going to charge me? Do you not trust me?" And I felt guilty. I felt like the stingy father, the bitter old man, who cannot simply give without asking for anything in return. The straw that broke the camel's back, or rather the situation that opened my eyes, completely happened 3 months ago. I received a call from my private bank. The executive who managed my main account sounded worried. "Mr. Henry, I need to confirm an instruction. Your son Robert came in yesterday with a power of attorney and requested access to detailed information on your accounts. According to him, you gave him authorization to start managing your finances because you are having health problems. Is this correct?" My blood ran cold. "What power of attorney?" I asked. The executive explained that it was a document I had supposedly signed 6 months ago, giving Robert progressive access to my accounts. I told him I had never signed such a thing to immediately block any movement and to send me a copy of that document. I hung up, trembling not from fear, but from rage, a cold, calculated rage that I had not felt in decades. That night, I hired a private investigator, a discreet guy ex-military, who had worked for me on security for my developments. I gave him clear instructions. I want to know everything Robert and Danielle are doing, who they talk to, what they plan, where they spend money. I did not care about the cost. I needed the truth. The reports started arriving a week later. They were like stab wounds, one after another. Danielle had consulted with 3 different lawyers about succession and inheritance in the last 4 months. She had investigated options for declaring mental incapacity in seniors. She had asked in internet forums how to speed up inheritance processes. Robert had taken out 3 credit cards in my name using copies of my ID. They had accumulated a debt of almost $100,000 in luxury purchases, trips, and expensive restaurants, all with the hope that eventually I would pay everything or simply die and the problem would disappear. But the worst part, what really destroyed me, was an audio recording. The investigator recovered from a conversation between Danielle and her mother. They were having dinner at an Italian restaurant downtown. The investigator had a directional microphone. The quality was perfect. And this was exactly what I heard word for word. "Mom, I am so sick of that old man. He thinks that because he has money, he can control us our whole lives. Robert is too soft. He does not dare to demand what belongs to him. We need Henry to understand that it is time to pass everything to Robert's name. If he does not do it the easy way, we will do it the hard way." The mother replied, "And how do you plan to achieve that, honey? I have lawyer friends who can start a process of interdiction. With 2 psychiatric evaluations showing he has early signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, we can prove he is no longer capable of handling his assets. Robert becomes the legal guardian, and we manage everything. In 6 months, maximum a year, we have total control. And if the old man resists, we can put him in a luxury nursing home where he does not bother anyone. I sat in my study in the dark, listening to that recording over and over again. My own family, my son who had grown up in my arms, who had cried on my shoulder when his mother died, was allowing his wife to plan to lock me up, rob me, destroy me. And the worst of all, he knew he agreed because it was easier to betray his father than to confront his wife. I cried that night not from sadness, but from disappointment. But the next day when the sun rose over Chicago, there was not a single tear left. Only a plan remained. A plan that required patience, precision, and a touch of theater. If they wanted to play dirty, I would teach them how the game is really played. I hired a criminal lawyer, one of the best in the country. I showed him all the evidence, the fraudulent credit cards, the inquiries about interdiction, the fake documents, the recordings. He smiled. Mr. Henry, with this, we can sink them. Fraud, forgery of documents, attempted dispossession. We are talking about several years in prison. I told him to wait, that it was not the moment yet. First, I wanted them to feel what it feels like when the people you love most betray you. 2 weeks later, I received a message from Danielle. It was sweet, affectionate, and completely fake. It said the children missed me a lot, that we should do a family trip, something special to create memories. She suggested a resort in Maui, one of those all-inclusive places where the kids have activities and the adults can relax. It would be beautiful, Henry. You, us, the kids as a family, as it should be. I read the message 3 times. I knew exactly what she was doing. They wanted to have me relaxed, off guard, in a place where they could control the situation. Maybe they planned for me to sign some document during the trip. Maybe they wanted to record me saying things they could use in a future legal process. Or maybe they simply wanted to enjoy a luxury vacation at my expense while they continued planning my destruction. It did not matter because I also had a plan. I responded immediately. I think it is a wonderful idea, Danielle. Let me check options and I will take care of everything. It will be my gift to the family. But her answer arrived in seconds. You are the best father-in-law in the world, Henry. The kids are going to be so happy. I booked the most exclusive resort in Maui, a 5-star place with private villas and exclusive beach world-class restaurants. I paid for 3 rooms, a presidential suite for me, a large family suite for Robert, Danielle, and the kids, and a standard room. Well, I will explain that later. The total cost of the weekend, including first-class flights and all activities, was over $8,000. I paid it without blinking. It was an investment, the best investment I had made in years. During the 2 weeks before the trip, I behaved exactly as they expected. I was the loving grandfather, the generous father-in-law, the foolish old man who suspected nothing. We had dinner together. I brought gifts for the children. Danielle hugged me and called me Papa Henry, with a tenderness that made me want to vomit. Robert seemed uncomfortable at times, as if a small part of him still had a conscience, but he said nothing. He never said anything. The day of the trip arrived. We met at the airport. Danielle was wearing a designer outfit that had probably cost $3,000. Robert was carrying a Louis Vuitton suitcase that I had not given him. The kids ran around excited, shouting, "Grandpa, Grandpa, we are going to the beach." I hugged them tightly. They were innocent. They did not know their parents were snakes. On the flight, Danielle sat next to me in first class. Robert and the kids were behind us. She ordered champagne. She toasted with me. "To family," she said. "To family," I repeated, clinking my glass with hers. And inside I thought, to justice. We arrived at the resort at noon. The place was impressive. Palm trees, infinity pools, the Pacific Ocean shining under the sun. The kids screamed with excitement. We headed to the reception. The manager recognized me immediately because I had made the reservation directly with him with very specific instructions. He greeted me with an exaggerated bow. "Mr. Henry, it is an honor to have you here. We have everything ready exactly as you requested. Danielle stepped forward, taking control of the situation as always. Hi, we are here for the reservation under Henry 3 rooms. The receptionist checked his computer. Danielle continued with that sweet, manipulative voice. The kids want to be with their grandma, so we made a little change. My mom is arriving in an hour. We are going to give Grandpa Henry's room to her. He can stay in the smaller room right after all. He's going to be with us all day anyway. I felt all eyes on me. The receptionist looked at me, waiting for my reaction. Robert looked at the floor, cowardly as always. The kids did not understand what was happening, and Danielle looked at me with that smile, that damn smile that said, "What are you going to do, old man? Are you going to throw a tantrum in front of your grandkids? Are you going to ruin the trip you organized? You have no choice. Bow your head and accept your place." And that was exactly what I did. I smiled, I nodded. I took a step back. Of course, Danielle, whatever is best for the children. She beamed with satisfaction. Robert finally looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes. Guilt, shame. It did not matter. It was already too late for him. The receptionist, confused, was about to make the changes. When I spoke again with a calm voice, almost casual. Actually, there is a small detail I need to clarify. I took out my phone. I dialed a number. Mr. Henderson? Yes, we have arrived. Please proceed with what we discussed. Danielle looked at me with confusion. What are you doing? Henry? I smiled. A real smile this time. I'm canceling the reservation. Danielle, the entire reservation. The color disappeared from her face. But I turned to the resort manager. Excuse me, I need to cancel the entire reservation under the name Henry. All 3 rooms, all scheduled activities, everything. And I also need to cancel the charges to my credit card. The manager, professional to the core, simply nodded. Of course, Mr. Henry, do you wish to proceed with the immediate cancellation? Immediate? Danielle took a step toward me. Wait. What is wrong with you? Did you get upset about the room? It was just a joke, Henry. Of course you can stay in the presidential suite. There is no problem. It is not a joke, Danielle. And it is not just about the room. I took a thin folder out of my pocket. I opened it in front of her. Inside were copies of the fraudulent credit card statements, prints of her conversations with lawyers, and a transcript of the recording from the Italian restaurant. Her face went from confusion to absolute paleness. What is this? She stammered. This is the truth, Danielle. The truth you thought I would never discover. Robert walked over. Dad, what are you talking about? I looked him in the eye for the first time in months, with absolute coldness. I am talking about the fact that your wife has been planning to declare me mentally incompetent, to steal everything I have built. I am talking about the fact that you took out credit cards in my name and have spent tens of thousands of dollars you never planned to pay back. I am talking about the fact that you brought me on this trip probably to manipulate me or record me, or God knows what else you had planned. People in the lobby had stopped doing what they were doing. Everyone was watching. Danielle tried to grab my arm. Henry, you're confused. You need to rest. The trip has you stressed. I shook off her grip. I am not confused, Danielle. I am perfectly lucid. And now you are going to listen to me very well. The trip is canceled. You are not staying at this resort. In fact, I looked at my watch. In approximately 10 minutes, you are going to receive an official notification from my lawyer. I am initiating legal actions against both of you for fraud, forgery of documents, and attempted dispossession. I am also demanding the immediate repayment of the $500,000 I lent you for the house plus interest. Robert turned white as a sheet. Dad, you cannot be serious. We are family. Family. I repeated the word as if it were poison in my mouth. Family? Is this how you treat your family, Robert? By letting your wife plan to lock me in a nursing home, by robbing me while pretending to care about me. My voice cracked a little, but I remained firm. Your mother would be devastated if she knew what you have become. That hit him. I saw his lips trembling, but Danielle intervened with that aggression. She always hid under the mask of sweetness. You cannot prove anything to us, Henry. Those recordings you have are illegal. No judge is going to accept them. I smiled. Ah, so then you admit the conversations are real? Interesting. I took out my phone again, and for your information, in this jurisdiction, recordings are admissible as evidence when they document crimes. My lawyer already verified that. But do not worry, I have much more than recordings. I have documents, witnesses, bank records, emails that your friend lawyer Sanchez sent to his assistant detailing the interdiction plan. You knew he keeps copies of everything in his personal email. He is not very discreet. Danielle stepped back. Her security was crumbling. This is a misunderstanding. I was just exploring legal options to protect you to make sure your assets were well managed. When you died or went senile, whatever happened first, I interrupted her. Yes, Danielle, I know. I know everything. Every conversation, every move, every lie. The kids started to feel the tension. Matthew pulled on his father's shirt. Dad, why is Grandpa mad? Are we not going to the beach anymore? My heart tightened. Those innocent children trapped in the middle of their parents' greed. I crouched down in front of Matthew. I stroked his head. I am not mad at you, champ. I could never be mad at you or your sister, but us adults have to fix some problems. Do you understand? He nodded, confused. Sophia started to cry. That almost broke me. Almost. I stood up and looked at Robert. You have two options. Option 1, you get on the next flight back to Chicago. You look for good lawyers, and I will see you in court. Option 2, you sit with me right now in one of those lobby restaurants. We put all the cards on the table and look for a solution that does not involve completely destroying this family in front of my grandkids. Danielle opened her mouth, but Robert stopped her. For the first time in years, I saw some backbone in my son. We are going to talk, he said. Danielle, we are going to talk to my father. I called a nanny from the resort, whom the manager quickly recommended an older woman trustworthy who had been working there for years. I paid her extra to take the kids to the pool with supervised activities. I bought them ice cream toys, whatever they wanted. They left happy without understanding that their parents' world was about to collapse. We sat in a private restaurant of the hotel, a terrace overlooking the ocean that I had previously reserved in case things reached this point. The waiter brought water coffee. No one touched anything. The silence was dense, heavy, like the air before a storm. I put the folder on the table. Here is everything. Every fraudulent transaction, every legal consultation, every step you took, believing I was too old or too stupid to notice. I opened the folder and started taking out documents one by one, like a prosecutor presenting evidence. American Express card in my name. Opened March 15th. Accumulated debt $45,000, expenses at Hermes Rolex. Trips to Tulum. Citibank card opened April 22nd. Debt $35,000, restaurants, hotels, designer clothes. Robert hung his head. Danielle looked at me with barely contained hatred. I continued. Consultation with lawyer Sanchez about interdiction processes. May 3rd quote from luxury nursing homes. May 18th called to a private psychiatrist asking how much a diagnosis of senile dementia would cost. June 2nd, every date was a stab wound. Every document, a documented betrayal. And my personal favorite, I took out the transcript of the recording from the Italian restaurant. Conversation between Danielle and her mother Margaret, June 10th Italian restaurant downtown. I read aloud, word for word, that conversation where they planned to declare me incompetent, rob me, lock me up. When I finished reading, Robert had tears in his eyes. Dad, I did not know it had gone that far. I swear to you, do not lie to me, Robert. Maybe you did not know every detail, but you knew enough. You knew she was consulting lawyers. You knew you were spending money you did not have. You knew the cards were in my name and you did nothing. You told me nothing. You chose to protect her instead of protecting me. Because she is my wife, he said with a broken voice. Because I have to support her even when she is committing fraud, even when she is planning to destroy your father. My voice rose in volume. Is that what your mother taught you? Is that what you learned in this family? Danielle finally spoke, and her entire mask had fallen. She was no longer the sweet and manipulative daughter-in-law. She was a furious, desperate woman. You have never given us what we deserve. Henry Robert works in your companies earning pennies while you live like a king. You have properties all over the city, millions in the bank, and we have to ask you for permission for every expense. We are your family. That money should be ours. That money is mine, I said with an icy calm. I earned it. I built it with my work, my effort, my sacrifices. Robert has a comfortable job I gave him because he is my son, not because he earned it. I pay him $8,000 a month to do the job any manager would do for half. I lent you $500,000 for your house. I have given you everything you have asked for, and still it is not enough. It is never enough for people like you. People like me, she repeated with contempt. Say it, Henry. Say what you really think. That I am not good enough for your son. That I come from a family with no money. That I am an opportunist. You are a criminal, I said simply. That is what you are. You have committed fraud, forgery, conspiracy to commit dispossession, and worst of all, you have poisoned my son against me. Robert stood up abruptly. Enough, both of you, enough. He ran his hands over his face. Dad, yes, we messed up. I admit it. The cards were a mistake. Danielle got carried away. I got carried away. We are stressed. We have debts. We feel pressure, but we were not going to hurt you for real. The interdiction thing that was it was exploring options just in case you really got sick one day. It was not for now. Do you take me for an idiot? I looked at him with disbelief. Do you think I'm going to believe that Robert listened to yourself? You are justifying the unjustifiable. Your wife literally said that if I did not do it the easy way, she would do it the hard way. She said they wanted to put me in a home. How do you explain that he could not? He stayed silent. Danielle took his hand. Robert, you do not have to justify yourself to him. He is the one who has kept us on a short leash our whole lives. He is the one who has never respected you enough to give you control of the companies. He always treats you like a child. Why do you act like a child? I said a grown man takes responsibility for his actions. A grown man protects his family. He does not conspire with his wife to rob his father. The waiter approached timidly to ask if we wanted to order something. I motioned for him to leave. This was not a moment for food. This was a trial, and I was the judge, the jury, and the executioner. I took another document from the folder. This is an agreement my lawyer prepared. If you sign it now, we can avoid going to court. The conditions are as follows. 1. Robert resigns from his position in my companies immediately. 2. You return the $500,000 of the loan within a period no longer than 5 years, with an interest of 8% annually. 3. You assume all the debt of the fraudulent credit cards and reimburse me every dollar you spent. 4. Danielle signs a permanent waiver to any claim on my inheritance or my assets. 5. Both of you commit to attending supervised family therapy if you want to maintain any kind of relationship with me. Danielle laughed a hysterical, bitter laugh. Are you joking? You want us to renounce everything to be left with nothing? It is not with nothing. I said it is without my money. There is a difference. Robert can look for a job in any other company. You can work too. Millions of American families survive without million-dollar inheritances. You can too. And if we do not sign, she asked defiantly, then tomorrow, first thing in the morning, my lawyer files criminal charges for fraud and forgery. He also files a civil lawsuit for the $500,000 plus damages. And I will make sure every real estate firm in the country knows that Robert is a fraud and a thief. His career ends before it starts. Robert looked at me with eyes full of tears. You would do that? You would destroy your own son? I am not destroying you. Robert, you destroyed yourself the day you decided that stealing from me was easier than earning my respect. I stood up from the table. You have until tomorrow at 10 in the morning to decide. Sign the agreement or see you in court. I am going to stay at this resort in my presidential suite that I paid for with my money, and I am going to enjoy the ocean that I like so much. You can do whatever you want. There are flights back to Chicago every 2 hours. I walked toward the exit of the restaurant. Danielle screamed behind me. This is not going to stay like this, Henry. I have contacts. I have lawyers. We are going to sue you for elder abuse, for manipulation, for whatever is necessary. I stopped. I turned around slowly, and I smiled. Try it, Danielle. Please try it. Give me one more reason to destroy you completely, because believe me, I have barely started. Everything you have seen today is the nice version of what I can do when I am betrayed. I left the restaurant. The tropical sun hit my face. I took a deep breath. The salty sea air filled my lungs. I felt strange. Not exactly good, because I had just confronted my only son and possibly destroyed my relationship with him forever, but not bad either. I felt free, as if a huge weight had been lifted off me. I no longer had to pretend. I no longer had to bow my head. I no longer had to be the victim. I walked along the beach. I took off my shoes. I felt the hot sand under my feet. Young couples laughed. Kids built sand castles. The world kept turning as if nothing had happened. And maybe that was the lesson. Life goes on. Even when your family betrays you, even when you discover that the people you loved most only saw you as a walking bank, life goes on. I found my grandkids in the kiddie pool. Matthew was on a slide shouting with joy. Sophia was playing with an inflatable ball. The nanny saw me and waved. The kids ran toward me soaked and happy. Grandpa, come swim with us. I took off my shirt. I got in the water with them. We played, we laughed, we splashed. And for a moment, just for a moment, I could forget that their father had betrayed me, because they were innocent. They did not deserve to pay for the sins of their parents. That night, after leaving the kids with the nanny to have dinner, I sat alone in my suite. It was huge, 3 bedrooms, living room, private terrace with a jacuzzi and a direct view of the ocean. Robert and Danielle wanted to take all this from me. Not just the money, but my dignity, my freedom, my right to live my last years however I wanted. My phone rang. It was my lawyer, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Henry, how are things going? As we expected, initial shock denial excuses the usual pattern. Did they sign the agreement I gave them until tomorrow? But frankly, I do not think they will sign. Danielle is too proud. She is going to convince Robert that they can fight. If that is the case, we are ready. I have all the documents prepared to file the lawsuits. I also hired a forensic investigator to check all the card transactions. If there is more fraud than we already found, we are going to discover it. Good, because I have a feeling this is just beginning. I was not wrong. At 11 at night, someone knocked on my suite door. It was Robert. He was alone. He looked terrible, red eyes, disheveled, as if he had aged 10 years in a day. "Can I come in?" he asked. I let him in. We sat on the terrace. The sound of the waves was the only thing breaking the silence. Finally, he spoke. "Danielle is furious. She says she is not going to sign anything, that you are going to have to take her to court if you want something." I figured as much. Dad, this got out of control. All this was, she was just worried about our future, about the kids' future. It was never personal against you. I looked at him for a long time. Robert, do you really believe what you're saying? Or are you so manipulated that you do not even recognize the truth anymore? He covered his face with his hands. I do not know. I do not know what to believe anymore. Danielle says one thing, you say another. I am in the middle, and I feel like I'm being torn in two. Then let me ask you a simple question. Did you know or did you not know that she was consulting lawyers about declaring me incompetent silence? Robert looked at me. Answer the question. He lifted his face. He had tears rolling down his cheeks. I knew she had spoken to a lawyer, but she told me it was just to get informed, to be prepared in case we really needed it one day. And the cards, did you know, they were in my name. More silence then, in a very low voice. Yes, there it was. The confession, and you still allowed it. We were desperate, Dad. The house, the kids' tuition, the lifestyle Danielle wants to maintain, everything costs so much. And you have so much. We thought you would not care, that you would not even notice. I stood up. I could not keep sitting. I needed to move or I was going to explode. That I would not care. That I would not notice my own son was stealing from me. Robert, do you hear what you're saying? You are justifying a crime because you wanted to live above your means? You live in a 5,000 QFT mansion. You have 4 rental properties. You have more money than you could spend in 3 lifetimes. And what about us? What have you really given us? There it was, the true resentment. I gave you a privileged childhood. I gave you education at the best schools. I gave you a job when no one else would have hired you with your lack of experience. I lent you $500,000 for your house. I have paid for my grandkids' tuition since they were born. What more do you want, Robert? Do I have to die for you to be happy? I want you to trust me. I want you to treat me like an adult, not like your employee. I want you to give me the place that belongs to me in the companies. What place, Robert? What place belongs to you? The one that is earned by working hard, making tough decisions, risking your own money, or the place you think you deserve simply for being my son? He did not answer because we knew the answer. He wanted the second one. He had always wanted the second one. I sighed. Look, it is late. We're not going to solve anything tonight. The offer still stands until tomorrow at 10:00. After that, legal processes begin, and there is no turning back. Think about it carefully, Robert. Think about your children, because if this goes to trial, they are going to grow up knowing their father betrayed their grandfather. They are going to grow up with that shame. He stood up. He looked at me with a mixture of pain and anger. And you going to be able to live with the guilt of having destroyed your own family? I did not destroy it, Robert. You guys did the day you decided to steal from me instead of talking to me like human beings. He left without saying anything else. The door closed behind him. I stayed alone on the terrace, watching the Black Sea under the moonlight, and for the first time in a long time, I cried not from rage or sadness, but from pure, emotional exhaustion. The next day at 9:30 in the morning, my phone rang. It was Robert. His voice sounded defeated, empty. Dad, we are going to sign the agreement. Danielle does not agree, but I already decided I cannot go on with this. I cannot risk my children growing up visiting me in prison. Where is she? In the room, furious. She says I am a coward, that I am letting you win. But I do not care anymore. This has to end. Are you sure, Robert? Because once you sign, there is no turning back. All the conditions I set are final. There was a long pause. I'm sure. Just give me some time to convince her. I'm going to need her to sign too, right? Yes. Both have to sign. It is a legal requirement. Let me talk to her. I will call you in an hour. He hung up. I stared at the phone. A part of me felt relieved. Another part felt empty. Because I knew that even if they signed the agreement, even if everything was resolved legally, my relationship with my son would never be the same again. Something had broken something that maybe could never be repaired. I went down to breakfast at the resort's main restaurant. The buffet was impressive. Tropical fruits, freshly baked bread omelets made to order. But I was not hungry. I poured myself a black coffee and sat at a table overlooking the ocean. Happy families were having breakfast around me. Parents with their children, grandparents with their grandkids, everyone laughing, everyone enjoying themselves. And I was alone, fighting with my own family, destroying the only blood connection I had left in this world. An older woman approached my table. She must have been 70, white hair, perfectly styled, elegant. "Do you mind if I sit?" "All the other tables are taken," I gestured to the empty chair. She sat down, smiled kindly. "You look very thoughtful." "Family problems." Her frankness surprised me. Is it that obvious I have been a psychotherapist for 40 years? It shows. She took a sip of her orange juice. "You do not have to tell me anything, of course, but sometimes talking to a stranger is easier than talking to the people we know." Something in her voice and her calmness made me trust her. My son betrayed me along with his wife. They planned to steal from me, declare me incompetent, take everything from me. I discovered it, and now I am here in this paradise fighting legal battles instead of enjoying my grandkids. She nodded without surprise, without judgment. "And you feel guilty for defending yourself?" That question hit me. How did she know? Because that is how we parents are. We feel guilty for everything. For working too much, for not working enough, for giving them a lot, for giving them nothing. And when our children fail us, we blame ourselves for having raised them wrong. She was right completely. I keep asking myself what I did wrong. Was I too hard, too soft? Did I give him too much money? Or did I not give him enough love? Or maybe she said gently, "Your son is an adult who made his own decisions, bad decisions, but his own." You cannot carry the responsibility for another person's actions, not even if it is your son. We sat in silence for a few minutes. Then she continued, "I had a son who became addicted to drugs. He stole from my purse pond. My jewelry, lied for years. He cost me a fortune in rehabs. For a long time, I thought it was my fault, that if I had been a better mother, he would not have fallen into that. But one day I understood something. I did not put the drugs in his body, he did. And until he accepted responsibility for his actions, nothing was going to change. And what happened? I hit rock bottom with him. I cut off the money. I told him I loved him, but I was not going to allow him to destroy my life along with his. It was the hardest thing I did in my life, but it worked. Today he has been sober for 8 years. We have a beautiful relationship, but I had to stop being his savior so he could save himself. Her words resonated with me. You think I am doing the right thing? I think you are protecting yourself, and that is never wrong. Love does not mean letting them destroy you. Love also means boundaries. Consequence is truth. Sometimes the greatest love is saying no more. Before I could respond, my phone vibrated. A message from Robert. Danielle accepts. See you on the terrace of the Italian restaurant at 11. Bring the documents. I showed the message to the woman. She smiled. It is going to be okay. It will not be easy, but it is going to be okay. She stood up, squeezed my shoulder with maternal warmth. Good luck, sir. And remember, defending your dignity is not cruelty. It is survival. She left. I never knew her name, but her words gave me the strength I needed for what was coming. At 11 sharp, I arrived at the terrace of the Italian restaurant with Mr. Henderson, who had flown in from Chicago that morning, specifically for this. Robert and Danielle were already there. She had red eyes, swollen from crying, but her expression was made of stone. Robert looked destroyed, as if he had not slept all night. Mr. Henderson put the documents on the table, 3 copies of the agreement, all notarized, all ready to sign. Let's review the terms one more time, he said with a professional voice. Robert resigns immediately from his position in all family companies. Henry and Robert establish a payment plan of $500,000 plus interest to be paid in 5 years. Robert and Danielle assume the complete debt of the fraudulent credit cards and commit to reimbursing Henry. Danielle signs a waiver to any claim on Henry's inheritance or assets. Both parties commit to not undertaking legal actions related to the events described in this agreement as long as all conditions are met. Danielle spoke for the first time with a bitter voice. "And if we do not pay in 5 years, what you put us in jail anyway?" the lawyer responded calmly. "If there is a breach, Mr. Henry has the right to restart legal actions. But if you comply with the terms, this matter is closed permanently." "It is a trap," she murmured, "a trap disguised as generosity." "No, I said it is an exit. The only exit I am offering you. You can take it or we can go to court." "You decide." Robert took the pen. "I am going to sign." "Danielle, please sign." She looked at him with contempt. "Do you know what you are doing? You are letting your father steal our future. That money belongs to our children. It is their inheritance." "That money was never ours," Robert said with a firmness I had not heard in years. "It never was. And if we do not sign, we are not going to have any future. We are going to have criminal charges and public shame. Is that what you want for Matthew and Sophia? Do you want them to grow up knowing their parents are criminals?" Danielle clenched her fists. For a moment I thought she was going to get up and leave, but then she took the pen. "I am never going to forget this, Henry." Never. She signed with furious strokes, practically tearing the paper. Robert signed afterwards with a trembling hand. I signed last. Mr. Henderson collected the documents, verified the signatures put on the notary seals. "The agreement is complete and legally binding. I suggest both parties seek family mediation if you wish to rebuild your relationship in the future." Danielle stood up abruptly. "There is not going to be a future relationship. This is over. Robert, let's go. Pack the kids' things." "We are leaving today." Robert looked at me. There was so much pain in his eyes. "Dad, I'm sorry. I am truly sorry." "I know," I said quietly. "I am sorry for everything too." He extended his hand. I hesitated a moment, then shook it. His grip was weak, defeated. "Will I be able to see the kids?" he asked. "Are you going to let Matthew and Sophia visit you?" "Always," I said firmly. "They are innocent. They will always be welcome in my life. But you and Danielle, that is going to take time. A lot of time." He nodded. They left. I watched them walk away down the hallway of the resort. My son walking behind his wife like a punished dog, and I felt a mixture of relief and devastation. Mr. Henderson put the documents in his briefcase. "You did the right thing, Mr. Henry. Do not let guilt consume you. They committed fraud. You only defended yourself, I know, but that does not make it hurt less. Do you want me to stay a few days in case you need additional legal support? No, go back to Chicago. I'm going to stay here the full weekend. I already paid for the resort. I'm going to enjoy it." He smiled. "That is the right thing. Enjoy. You deserve it." That afternoon, I took my grandkids to the beach. Robert and Danielle had already left on an emergency flight. They had told the kids that Mom was not feeling well, and they had to go back home. Matthew was confused. "But Grandpa? Why did Mom and Dad leave without saying goodbye properly?" I crouched down in front of him in the sand. Sometimes adults have complicated problems. Champ. But I want you to know something very important. Nothing that is happening is your fault or your sister's. Your grandpa loves you more than anything in the world. "Are we not going to see you anymore?" Sophia asked with her big eyes full of worry. "Of course you are. You can always visit me. Always." I promise I'm going to be here for you." I hugged them tight. They smelled like sunscreen in the sea. Pure innocence. We spent the afternoon building sand castles, looking for shells, chasing waves. The kids laughed, played. They were happy. And I held on to those moments because I knew that when we returned to Chicago, when the reality of the family situation settled in, things were going to be different. But in that moment, on that beach, under that tropical sun, we were just a grandfather and his grandkids, and that was enough. That night after the nanny took the kids to their room, I sat alone on my terrace. The sky was full of stars. The sea sounded like a constant whisper. And for the first time in months, I felt at peace. It was not happiness. There was still pain. There were still unanswered questions, but there was peace. The peace that comes from knowing you did the right thing, even when the right thing is the hardest thing. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "Mr. Henry, this is Margaret Danielle's mother. We need to speak urgently. It is about my daughter and your son. There are things you do not know. Serious things." I felt a chill. What else could there be? What else had remained undiscovered? I replied, "What is it about I cannot talk by message? Can you call me? It is urgent. It is about your grandkids' safety." I dialed immediately. She answered on the first ring. Her voice sounded scared, trembling. "Mr. Henry, thank you for calling. I know you must hate me. I know I was part of Danielle's plan to what is happening with my grandkids." I interrupted her. I did not care about apologies. I only cared about Matthew and Sophia. Danielle is out of control. Since they returned today from Maui, she is saying terrible things. She says you ruined her life. She says she is going to get revenge. That if she cannot have the money, she is going to make sure you cannot enjoy it either. What does that mean? I do not know exactly. But she is making calls to lawyers, to people I do not know. And the worst part is, I heard her tell Robert that if he does not support her in this, she is going to take the kids and leave the country to Colombia, where she has relatives. She says you will never see them again. My heart stopped. Is she threatening to kidnap my grandkids? I would not say kidnap. She is their mother. But yes, she is talking about leaving the U.S. with them. And Robert is so broken, so manipulated, that I think he is going to let her do whatever she wants. Why are you telling me this? You are her mother. There was a long silence then, with a broken voice. Because I love my grandkids more than I fear my daughter, and because what Danielle is planning is wrong, very wrong. You are not a bad man, Mr. Henry. You are a man who defended himself. And Danielle, my daughter, has problems. Problems I ignored for many years. But I cannot ignore them anymore. Not when they involve those children. What kind of problems? Danielle has always been obsessed with money, with status. When she was young, she stole money from my purse several times. She lied about big and small things. She manipulated her father to get what she wanted. I thought it was just a phase that when she married and matured, she would change. But it got worse. And now, with you confronting her with the agreement they signed, she feels cornered. And cornered people do desperate things. Do you have proof of what you are saying? Recordings, messages, anything? I have screenshots of her WhatsApp conversations with a friend. I am going to email you everything, but Mr. Henry, you have to act fast. Danielle is capable of getting on a plane tomorrow itself if she feels the situation is getting out of her control. Where are the kids now? At Robert and Danielle's house. Asleep, I suppose. But Danielle went out an hour ago. I do not know where she went. I hung up and immediately called Mr. Henderson. I explained the situation. He got serious. This changes everything. If there is a risk she will take the minors out of the country, we need an immediate court order. I am going to contact an on-duty judge, but I need you to return to Chicago as soon as possible. A judge is going to want to talk to you directly. There is a flight at 6 hours in the morning. I will be on that flight. Good. And Mr. Henry, prepare yourself. If this goes where I think it goes, we are going to be fighting for custody of your grandkids. It is going to be ugly. It is going to be public. Are you ready for that? I looked at the stars above the sea. I thought about Matthew and Sophia, about their laughter, their innocence, their right to grow up surrounded by love, not manipulation and revenge. I am ready. I said I will do whatever is necessary to protect them. I did not sleep that night. I packed my things. I made arrangements with the resort for the nanny to bring the kids on the next available flight with a security escort I hired. I was not going to let Danielle use my grandkids as pawns in her war against me. At 5 a.m, I received the screenshots Margaret promised me. They were devastating conversations where Danielle literally said, "I am going to take them far away, where the old man can never find them. Let him suffer, like he made me suffer." Another one where she said the kids are my best weapon. Henry would give anything for them. I can use that. I felt nauseous. This woman, the mother of my grandkids, saw them as weapons, as tools of manipulation, not as human beings who deserve protection and love. The flight back was torture. Every minute felt like an hour. We landed in Chicago at 9 a.m. Mr. Henderson was waiting for me at the airport with news. We got a temporary order. Danielle cannot take the minors out of the country. There is an alert at all airports and border crossings. We also got an order for a psychological evaluation of both parents and an evaluation of the home environment. And now we go straight to the judge. We have a hearing at 2 in the afternoon. What followed were the most intense hours of my life. The family courtroom was cold, impersonal. Danielle arrived with 2 lawyers dressed impeccably, acting like the perfect victim. Robert was with her, but he looked miserable, trapped between his father and his wife. The judge, a woman of about 50, with a serious expression, reviewed all the documents, the proof of fraud, the recordings, the screenshots, the testimonies. Danielle denied everything. She said I was a controlling, abusive man, that I was using my money and my power to destroy her family. She cried. She acted. It was a performance worthy of an Oscar. But the judge was no fool. When she finished reviewing everything, she spoke with a firm voice. "Mrs. Danielle, I have examined the evidence presented by both parties. The screenshots where you threatened to take the minors out of the country without the consent of the father or the paternal grandfather are extremely worrying. The conversations where you refer to your own children as weapons and tools are frankly disturbing." Danielle went pale. "Your Honor, those messages are taken out of context. I was angry, frustrated. Any mother," interrupted the judge, "protects her children. She does not use them as instruments of revenge." Mr. Robert, I would like to hear from you. Did your wife know she planned to take your children out of the country? Robert looked at Danielle, then at the judge. I could see the internal struggle on his face. Finally, he spoke with a voice barely audible. "She mentioned it to me. She said we needed to get away from my father, start over somewhere else. I did not think she meant it seriously. And would you have consented to that trip?" Silence. Then, to my surprise, "No, Your Honor, I would not have consented. My children are Americans. Their life is here. Their school, their friends, their family." Danielle glared at him. "Traitor," she hissed quietly. The judge heard her. "Mrs. Danielle, one more comment of that type, and I'm going to sanction you for contempt. Now, based on the evidence presented, I am going to issue the following temporary orders while the psychological evaluation is completed. 1. The minors. Matthew and Sophia will remain under shared custody of their parents. 2. Neither parent can take the minors out of Illinois without written authorization from the other parent and the court. 3. A supervised visitation regime is established with the paternal grandfather Henry twice a week. 4. Both Robert and Danielle must submit to complete psychological evaluations within 10 days. Danielle exploded. This is unfair. He is the one attacking us. He is the one who took everything from us. And now you are going to reward his abuse by letting him see my children. The judge banged the gavel. Mrs. Danielle, control yourself, or I am going to remove you from this courtroom. Mr. Henry is not under any criminal investigation. In fact, he is the one who presented evidence of fraud committed by you. If anyone should be defending themselves here, it is you, not him. Session adjourned. The orders are effective immediately. We left the courthouse. Danielle passed by me like a hurricane without looking at me. Robert stopped. Dad, this got completely out of control. No, I said firmly. This arrived exactly where it had to arrive. Your wife threatened to kidnap my grandkids. Did you really expect me to do nothing? She was not going to kidnap them. She was just scared, confused. Robert, wake up. Your wife has a serious problem. And if you keep protecting her, defending her, you're going to lose your children. Because no judge is going to let a woman who views her own children as tools of manipulation have full custody. And what am I supposed to do? Divorce, destroy my family? Your family is already destroyed. Danielle destroyed it. Now you have to decide if you are going to save what is left or if you are going to sink with her. He left without answering, but I saw something in his eyes. A spark. A glimpse of the person he used to be before Danielle transformed him into her puppet. The following weeks were a legal and emotional whirlwind. The psychological evaluations began. A forensic therapist interviewed Robert Danielle me, and even the kids in a way appropriate for their age. The home evaluation revealed worrying things. The house was full of tension. The kids showed signs of stress. Matthew had started having nightmares. My first supervised visit with the kids was at a family meeting center, a neutral place where a social worker observed the interactions. The kids entered, shy, confused. Grandpa, why do we have to come here? Why can we not go to your house? I knelt in front of them. For now, this is what the judge says we have to do. But we are going to be together. That is what matters. What do you want to do? Play with blocks. Draw. We spent 2 hours playing laughing drawing. They told me about their school, their friends, their favorite TV shows. For those moments, I could pretend everything was normal. But when the time came to say goodbye, Sophia clung to me crying, I do not want to go, Grandpa. At home, Mom and Dad fight all the time. It is scary. My heart broke. The social worker took notes. Mr. Henry, we are going to include this in the report. I stroked Sophia's hair. Everything is going to be okay, Princess. I promise you. Grandpa is going to fix everything. The psychological reports arrived 2 weeks later. They were revealing and devastating. Robert showed signs of emotional codependency, low self-esteem, and difficulty establishing healthy boundaries. Danielle was diagnosed with traits of narcissistic personality, significant emotional manipulation, and an instrumental view of personal relationships. The report on the children indicated they were experiencing chronic stress due to the conflictive home environment and recommended immediate therapeutic intervention and possible modification of the custody arrangement. Mr. Henderson called me after reading the reports. Mr. Henry, this is better than we expected. With these reports, we can request modified shared custody where the children spend more time in a stable environment. If you are willing, we could even seek for the children to live with you during the week and see their parents on weekends. Is that realistic? With these reports, yes. The judge's priority is always the welfare of the minors, and clearly the current environment is not healthy for them. But before we could advance with that strategy, I received an unexpected call. It was Robert. His voice sounded different, clearer, stronger. Dad, I need to talk to you. Alone, without lawyers, without Danielle, just you and me. We met at a quiet cafe in Lincoln Park. Robert arrived on time, something rare for him. He sat across from me, and for the first time in years, he looked directly into my eyes without looking away. I read the psychological reports, mine and Danielle's. And you were right about everything. I have been an idiot, a coward, a bad son, and a worse father. I let myself be manipulated because it was easier than facing the truth. Because admitting that my wife is a toxic person meant admitting that I made a mistake marrying her, that I wasted years of my life, that I put my children in a horrible situation. I said nothing. I just waited. I talked to a divorce lawyer this morning. I am going to start the process, and I am going to fight for full custody of Matthew and Sophia. Danielle is not a safe mother. The reports prove it. And I need to be the father they deserve. The father you tried to teach me to be? I felt tears burning my eyes. Robert let me finish. I'm also going to look for work outside your companies. I need to prove to myself that I can do something on my own, that I am worth something without your name or your money behind me, and I am going to pay every dollar I owe you, every single one, even if it takes me 20 years instead of 5. You do not have to. Yes, I do have to, for my dignity, for my self-respect, for my children. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. And I want you to know something. Mom would be ashamed of me of what I became. But I think she would be proud that I am finally trying to fix it. Do you think it is too late? I got up from my chair. I went around the table and hugged my son. He collapsed in my arms, crying like I had not seen him cry since he was a child. It is never too late, I whispered. Never. The following weeks were of reconstruction. Robert moved into a small apartment far from Danielle. He started the divorce proceedings. Danielle reacted exactly as we expected, with fury, threats, attempts at manipulation. But Robert stood firm with therapy, with legal support, with my support as a father. The custody hearing was brutal. Danielle hired the best lawyer she could pay with money she probably did not have. She presented Robert as an absent father, weak, manipulated by me. She painted me as a controlling man who had destroyed her marriage for revenge. She cried, she acted, she manipulated. But the judge had the reports. She had the evaluations. She had the recordings where Danielle literally talked about using her children as weapons. And when Matthew and Sophia were interviewed by the judge in private, when asked where they felt safest, both said with Dad and Grandpa. The ruling came on a rainy Tuesday in November. Primary custody for Robert with supervision and support from the paternal grandfather. Supervised visits for Danielle twice a week until completing a year of mandatory therapy. Prohibition of taking the minors out of the state without judicial authorization, and the order that Danielle had to start paying child support based on her income, even if it was minimal. Danielle left the room screaming, "This is not over. I'm going to appeal. I'm going to get my children back." But her lawyer stopped her. He whispered something in her ear. She paled because she knew she had completely lost. That night, Robert brought the kids to my house, the house where he had grown up, where Helen and I had built a family. We had dinner together in the kitchen. I made the roast chicken that was Robert's favorite when he was a kid. The kids ran around the yard chasing fireflies, and for the first time in months and years, maybe I felt something like happiness. Robert helped me wash the dishes. I know I can never make up for everything I did. All the damage, all the betrayal. You do not have to make up for anything I said. You just have to be a good father, and you're already doing it. Do you think Mom would have forgiven me? I looked out the window toward the garden where the kids played under the outdoor lights. Your mother loved you unconditionally like I love you. But love does not mean absence of consequences. It means being there when you decide to change. And I am here, son. I have always been here. The following months brought a new routine. Robert got a job as a project manager in a construction firm that had no connection to me. He earned half of what he earned in my companies, but he earned it with his own effort. He moved to a bigger apartment where the kids had their own rooms. I saw them 3 times a week. I took them to the park, to the movies, to museums. I helped them with homework. I listened to them talk about their days, their dreams, their fears. Danielle complied with the supervised visits for 3 months. Then she started missing. First 1 visit, then 2, then whole weeks. The kids stopped asking for her, and that was the saddest thing of all. Not her rage, not her threats, but her indifference toward her own children once she could not use them to get what she wanted. A year after the incident in Maui, Raba invited me to dinner at his apartment. He had cooked himself lasagna from his own recipe. The kids had made desserts at school. After dinner, Robbie took out an envelope. "Dad, this is for you." I opened it. It was a check for $100,000. "Robbie, what is this?" "It is the first real payment of my debt to you." "It is not much, I know. I still have $400,000 more plus interest, but it is a start. It is money I earned with my work without your help." I looked at the check, then I tore it up. Robert stood there open-mouthed. "What are you doing?" "You already paid me," I said. "You paid me by becoming the man you needed to be. You paid me by being a good father to my grandkids. You paid me by recovering your dignity." The money was never the important thing, Robert. It never was. He cried. I cried. The kids hugged us without fully understanding why the adults were crying, but knowing they were good tears. 2 months ago, I received a letter from Danielle. She was living in Texas with her family. She had started therapy. She said she was working on her problems. She wanted eventually to rebuild a relationship with her children. She did not ask for forgiveness directly, but there was a different tone in her words. Less rage, more defeat, or maybe maturity. It was hard to tell. I showed the letter to Robert. What do you think he read it carefully? I think people can change. But change has to be demonstrated with actions, not words. If she is really working on herself, if she really wants to be part of Matthew and Sophia's life, in a healthy way, we can consider it. But slowly, with supervision, and at the first sign of manipulation, it is over. I nodded. You are wiser than I was at your age. I had a good teacher. It just took me 60 years to learn the lesson. Today, as I write this, my grandkids are in the garden. Matthew is 7 now. Sophia is 5. They are happy, secure, loved children. Robert comes to dinner every Sunday. Sometimes we talk about business, sometimes about life, sometimes we just watch sports in silence. And it is okay. Everything is okay. I completely recovered my relationship with my son. Not the way it was before. That relationship died. But we built a new one. One based on mutual respect, on healthy boundaries, on truth. And this new relationship is stronger, more real, and more honest than the previous one. Was the pain worth it? Was the confrontation worth it? The tears, the courts, everything. I look at my grandkids and I know the answer, yes. 1,000 times, yes. Because if I had not confronted Robert and Danielle, if I had continued being the compliant grandfather, the weak father, the foolish old man who bowed his head, they would have grown up in a toxic environment. They would have learned that manipulation is love. That money is more important than dignity. That family means enduring any abuse. Now they are learning something different. That real love includes boundaries. That family means mutual respect, not blind obligation. That it is okay to defend yourself even from the people you love, especially from the people you love. There's something I want to say to everyone listening, especially to older adults who maybe are going through something similar. You do not have to endure mistreatment from your adult children. You do not have to allow them to manipulate you, rob you, abuse your kindness. Defending your dignity is not selfishness. It is survival. It is self-love. It is teaching the next generations that there are lines that are not crossed. Is it painful? Yes. Is it difficult? More than you can imagine. Is it worth it? Absolutely. I am 63 years old now. Helen died 6 years ago. I built a real estate empire that someday when I am gone will be for my grandkids. Not for Robert directly. Not after everything that happened, but in a trust that will manage their education, their future, their opportunities. Robert knows. He accepts it because he finally understands that real wealth is not in bank accounts. It is in the relationships you build, in the respect you earn, in the legacy of values you leave. A few weeks ago, Matthew asked me, "Grandpa, why doesn't Mom live with us like my friends' moms?" I sat down with him. I explained in terms a 7-year-old could understand. Sometimes adults make decisions that hurt other people, and when that happens, there have to be consequences. Your mom made some bad decisions, but that does not mean she does not love you. It just means she needs time to be better. Like when I behave badly and you punish me, I smiled. Exactly like that. And later, can I see her again when it is safe for you? When she proves she is ready? He nodded, satisfied with the answer. Because children understand justice in a way adults sometimes forget. They understand that actions have consequences. That love does not mean absence of rules. So what did I learn from all this? I learned that family is complicated. That money brings out the worst in people. That raising a child does not guarantee their loyalty. That love sometimes means saying no more. That defending your boundaries does not make you the villain. It makes you human. And that never is it too late to demand respect. If you are listening to this and identify with my story, if you have family members who manipulate you, who use you, who only look for you when they need money, listen to me. Well, you are not alone. You are not wrong for feeling hurt, and you're not bad for establishing boundaries. Talk to lawyers. Document everything. Do not be afraid to use the legal system to protect yourself because the law exists precisely for that, to protect the vulnerable. Even when the vulnerable are older adults being abused by their own children. And if you are the children maybe recognizing yourselves in Robert or Danielle, listen to me too. Change now before it is too late. Before destroying the relationships that matter most. Before your own children grow up watching your example of greed and manipulation, money comes and goes. Family, when it is truly broken, cannot always be repaired. This morning, while drinking coffee on my terrace, Robert called me. "Dad, are you free Saturday? Matthew has a soccer game. He would like you to go. I will be there. Thanks, Dad, for everything. For not giving up on me. For not giving up on them. I would never give up on you. You are my family, the real family, the one that matters." He hung up. I stared at the sunrise over Chicago. This city where I was born poor, where I built everything from scratch, where I lost my wife, where I almost lost my son, where I finally learned the true success is not measured in properties or bank accounts. It is measured in moments. In soccer games a Saturday morning, in children's laughter in the garden, in your son's voice calling you dad, with genuine respect, not with manipulated obligation. I am 63 years old. I do not know how many I have left. 10, 20, 30, if I am lucky. But I know this. I am going to live them with dignity. I am going to live them surrounded by the people who truly love me, not the ones who love my money. And when my last day arrives, when I close my eyes for the last time, I will do it, knowing I was not a victim, that I defended myself, that I protected what was important, and that my friends is the only inheritance truly worth leaving. So I ask you, if you were in my place, if you discovered your own family was betraying you, would you have the courage to confront them? Or would you keep bowing your head, hoping things would improve on their own? Because I am going to tell you something. I learned the hard way. Things never improve on their own. Abuse does not stop because you ignore it. Manipulation does not disappear because you are nice. Sometimes the greatest love you can give is saying enough. And that enough can save your life like it saved mine. This is my story. The story of how a weekend in Maui, a moment of humiliation at a resort reception, became the breaking point I needed to recover my life, my dignity, and eventually my son. It was not easy, but it was worth it. And if you are going through something similar, if you feel your family is using you, I tell you it will be worth it for you too. You just need to take the first step, the hardest step, the step of saying no more. Say it, defend yourself and rebuild your life on your own terms. Because in the end, the only thing we really have is our dignity. And no family, no amount of money, no emotional manipulation is worth losing that. Never.